this last year from before, the time before the independence and people were struggling, and you had peace agreement and the 6 years waiting, what will happen? Have there been any changes, or is it life as business as usual?
Yeah, there is a lot of changes taking place, and we are very happy to see people are very happy, just very happy because of the independence and because of the identity of South Sudan. It was my first time also to vote. I've never voted in my life because there was no such chance, and people are very excited. And now you can see highways are open, trucks are traveling around, and people are now very excited. In the village of Louis, there was no communication or connection. So if you would like to send any message to capital city, you have to write a letter and give it to someone to take the letter. But now there is a company that has raised cell tower. And I was able to call Louis right from Louis. So that was very exciting thing. And our office is also connected now to internet. And this internet is connected to satellite, and we were able to check emails and send emails easily. So these are the things that are making people's life easy, and people are happy about such developments. Thank you.
I have to take on one also. You know, this quite bleak picture that Marina was giving about, there's still so many challenges, and there's actually a war situation going on in Darfur area, in the border areas. And we know that the Christians and the Southern Sudanese in the north also have a tough situation, and many have moved to the south. Has this affected the Louis diocese in any way? Could you give us something like that?
Yeah, in the war that is in border between South Sudan and Sudan is very far from us. And it has not affected us directly, but indirectly, because it is our people who are dying and suffering in these areas. And we as church, we are also praying for them. And we are also trying to contribute from the food that we have so that people can have something to eat in these displaced areas. And another area that also affected deaths of Louis directly is, or indirectly, is the LRA issue. And the LRA is rebels. They are disturbing people in that area of Congo and part of Western Equatorial State, and then in Central Africa. So we have received a number of displaced people from neighboring dioceses, and they have settled now with us in Louis for almost 2 years now. And we are blessed by land, and this is the blessing that we have. So we allocated a piece of land for them, so they have to work also with their hands like any member of the community and have their own garden so that they can eat. And we are all depending on rain for the crops to grow. So if there is delayment in the rain, then crops will fail and there is very big problem. So we need relief. So these are the challenges that we are facing.
Thank you so much. Now, Bishop Anche, you've been to Louis once.
Yes.
And that was 2008.
Yes.
And please share a bit of your reflections of that visit, and also your thinking about the Church of Sweden and the diocese in relation to Louis.
Yeah. I'm very well aware that there are people in the audience who have been to Louis more times than I've been, and who certainly have more experience. But still, I mean, this visit I was able to make together with my husband and a rather big delegation from the Diocese of Lund, took place in 2008. You could say it was during the very long pregnancy of what now is the baby nation. I mean, it was overwhelming to come there. And of course, we saw a lot of needs, a lot of poverty, we saw a lot of this destroyed infrastructure as a result of the war. But more than that, we saw an enormous amount of joy. And what was a lesson to us in our delegation, I think was how natural it is in that environment to keep together faith and social action. We don't do that all the time in our country. In fact, the Archbishop and myself, we had a debate article in the regional newspaper here last Thursday. And one of the reactions we received was from a more, say, pious paper in this country said, well, if you write about the church stepping up for human rights and peace and action against sexual violence and so on, what's that to do with Jesus? I think from what I hear Bishop Stephen say, you wouldn't ask that question in South Sudan, because that's so obvious that the faith expresses itself in all these actions. And we saw glimpses of that, more than glimpses of that, when we were in Sudan in 2008. And also, I mean, this sense of community. When after the service, oftentimes, the priests were leaving first, and then all the congregation went up and formed a huge circle outside the church on Kyrkbacken. And everybody took others' hands. Just imagine if that would happen in our church. Or once we were going to a worship service, what felt for us to be far away from Louis, and somewhere on the road, we were stopped, the car was stopped by a group of people on the road, and I was thinking, oh, have you arrived already? And then the driver turned around to me and said, you better get out. These people want you to pray with them and to bless them. And they sang in France, and I know this will never happen to me when I go from Lund to Blekinge. But again, how faith and life and action belong together. Or this fantastic, just one more little example. In one of the congregations we visited, I was greeted with the words, well, we welcome the Lord Bishop with his wife, who is her husband. And all the women went like, yeah! But also on this, visited the Louis Hospital, and there was this young man lying there in bed, and as we passed, he was asking me, do you have a Bible for me? And I hadn't. And probably this man is no longer alive, but at least I can honor him by mentioning him here. What is the church doing in this situation? I mean, the church at large, and that doesn't just mean the Church of Sweden, but also through Action of Churches Together and the Lutheran Federation and so on. There's humanitarian help in the refugee camps, especially in the contested areas. There's demining in eastern Equatoria. There's work being done to prevent disasters, but also to build up education. To make, say, reconciliation possible, and helping the disarmament process. And we heard about all these weapons being around there. The Diocese of Lund started its partnership relationship with the Diocese of Louis in 1995, and it's quite humbling to look back and see that those who were before us started something that, in spite of all the difficulties, has gone on over time, and we are here feeling that, yes, we want to carry it on. At that time, 1995, the work was mainly in the congregations in Khartoum, where the internally displaced people from Louis were living. So we had, on the diocesan level and on the congregational level, links to these parishes. But it was always clear that we would, when peace would be there and people would go back to Louis, we would also move our engagement to Louis, and that's what's happened. In 1997, the Diocese of Lund assisted in building up a temporary bishop's office in Nairobi, which was sort of a way of starting projects of cooperation. And the support we are giving today is school, preschool, transport, car, bicycles, motorcycles, further development in these agricultural questions about stoves and all this kind of stuff, vocational school, and not the least, trying to assist with saving groups, microfinancing. And we also had a project helping us to make our accounting systems more compatible with each other. Now, the basis, an important part of this is our partnership agreement, and I am so very happy that in a week from now, that is next Sunday, Bishop Stephen and I will sign a renewed partnership agreement for another period of 4 years, and we're going to do that in the Cathedral of Lund during the service of consecration for new deacons, which I think is very fitting as an expression of the holistic ministry that we all should aim at. Because working for a just, peaceful and reconciled world is a clear expression of our faith. And really, I have always felt very encouraged to be in Sudan and to meet people from Sudan, because you bring to us the assurance that there is power in faith and there is power in prayer. And being with you, sort of, you know, in Sweden sometimes you feel you can't be pious because people don't understand. But if you're in Sudan, you can't be pious without restriction. And that's a good thing too. But I wanted to end by also saying that there is an obligation for us. We have to change as a church concretely. We need to be more aware, wherever we are in the church, if we are church workers, if we are lay people, wherever we are, we need to know more about the role that the church is playing in the world. We really need to increase our knowledge about that, because in an average congregation, that knowledge is not very big. And if I'm right in this, I would say, and I've turned to you, Niklas, as a representative for the church national level, the national level needs to be better at communicating that throughout the whole church. We must not underestimate the need of that knowledge. The locals must know about how much the church needs globally, politically, socially. And for the local level to have this challenge to both sides, those in charge of work in the local congregations, we should not underestimate our parishioners and their ability to actually absorb knowledge about these things. And we should really try to make that part of what we are doing. So to overcome sort of this split between the church internal affairs and the outer affairs, it all belongs together. So I send this both with you and with all of us as the challenge coming out of this, as a challenge coming out of this seminar. Thank you.